Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our new and improved council chambers. Yes, yes. So I hope all of you like it. I like nicer chairs, more comfortable, which means we can have 5-hour meetings. Everybody in the audience laughed, but the council members didn't laugh. So I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order, and we're going to start with roll call by Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Kearns,
I am here.
Councilmember Bolin is remote. Councilmember Motney,
Here.
Councilmember Dannenberger.
Here.
Councilmember Becker,
Here.
Councilmember Hendricks.
Here.
Councilmember Ward,
Here.
Councilmember Lee,
Here.
Councilmember Crumpler,
Here.
Mayor Millawamboy.
Here. And yes, Councilmember Bolin has requested to attend the meeting remotely due to being out for medical reasons, which is an allowable reason under the code. And I'm going to ask for a motion and a second to allow her to join remotely.
I'll motion that we allow her to join remotely.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Motney, second by Councilmember Dannenberger. And Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yep, Councilmember Kearns. Aye. Councilmember Motney,
Yes.
Councilmember Dannenberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Becker,
Yes.
Councilmember Hendricks.
Yes.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Councilmember Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Crumpler.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion passes, and is Councilmember Bolin on the call right now?
I am. Thank you.
Okay, hello. And we're gonna move right along to recognition appointments, and we have a presentation of the winners of the 2023 City of Bloomington Beautification Awards as requested by the Citizens Beautification Committee. And I'm gonna turn it over to,
Me.
okay.
Hello.
I almost said Councilmember Painter, but I know I shouldn't.
Well, thank you all for supporting the Citizens Beautification Committee. Since 1973, this committee has worked to make Bloomington a more beautiful place to live, work, and play. And every year, we work with the Parks and Rec Department to plant a tree and present an Arbor Day celebration at one of our District 87 schools. We also seek nominations annually for properties that have beautiful curb appeal and enhance their surrounding neighborhoods. This year, we have 5 winners. Before I announce them, I'd like to have all of the people that are on our committee tonight to stand so that you can be recognized. We have Jennifer Aurora, Gina Lavazza, Dan Freeberg, and Chris Kraft. And, oh, I'm sorry, Debbie. And, okay, so, and we appreciate all of you. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking straight at you. I didn't see you coming. Okay, and I am just losing my mind right now. What?
Sarah Camp.
Sarah Camp and Debbie. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Anyway, before we announce our winners, I'd like to turn this over to our staff liaison, Dave Lamb, who'd like to say a few words. And then our secretary, photographer, and communications person extraordinaire, Gina Lavazza, will present the awards. Thank you.
Thanks, Johnny. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Gleason, City Manager. I just wanted to take a couple minutes here and just commend this committee for the hard work they've done over the past year and the leadership that Johnny has provided. Committee runs really well. We meet once a month on Thursdays here in this building at 6 o'clock. And they always come up with fantastic ideas on how to make the community better. They're very, very receptive to the progress that's been made here in the community and the infrastructure. And they notice these things. They notice flower pots. They notice a little plant bed here and there. And they point that stuff out. And they really are dedicated to making the city look better. and pointing out the things that do. These awards tonight are for 5 people, but these are people that have done exceptional things in their own yard and their own curb appeal, but it doesn't include everybody that's done exceptional stuff within the city. These are just people that were fortunate enough to be nominated. So in the future, if you see a yard that you really like in the summer, you know, go ahead and fill out the nomination form. Anybody can do that. And we'll get them on the list. So this is a neat evening, and I know the committee's looking forward to sharing these photos with you. The awards are actually boulders and signs that are going to go in their yards. We have some pictures of them. We're going to deliver them to the residents. We don't want to bring a bunch of landscaping boulders up here into council chambers. But anyway, enjoy the presentation. And thank you very much, committee, for what you guys do for this.
Okay, well, I guess I'm going to start the presentation. I believe that there's some slides. I don't know. Oh, there we go. Okay. We're here to honor and recognize the winners of the Beautification Awards. It was a difficult task selecting, we had a lot of great entries, but as they had said previously, we narrowed it down to 5 winners for their exceptional beauty and charm. One little thing I did note as I was making this presentation was an interesting pattern. All the ones that we chose as winners, I don't even know if our committee has noticed this, were corner lots. So I don't know if that just was something to do with, because you can see the beauty from every angle, but I thought that was kind of interesting. So let's start. Let's see, our first slide we have is 2 White's Place. This property is located on the corner of White Place and the bustling Empire Street. It offers a panoramic view of its beauty from every angle. The picture before us displays the vibrant blooms adorning the front yard. Yet other perspectives of this property unveil even more breathtaking vistas that are difficult to capture from a single photo. So this was our first one. And I don't know how we do this. Are we calling them up here? Okay, so if the owners of 2 White's Place would please come up here, I will give you. We have presenting the picture and the sign for the yard. And I think I met you when I was taking photos. I was trouncing around your yard. So congratulations. Okay, and then if we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, 1202 Jackson Street, 1202 West Jackson Street. Let me find it. Okay, this house truly stands out of its surroundings with its vibrant colors and captivating landscape. And you can just see how bright everything is in the photo. It's gorgeous. It's visible from both Jackson and Livingston Street. The sheer visual impact of this property is nothing but remarkable. So I want to congratulate our owners of 1202 West Jackson. If you want to come up here, get a picture of your rock and sign. Congratulations. Okay, and our next property we have is 724 West Washington. This is the headquarters of the West Bloomington Revitalization Project. This is situated on the corner of Washington and Allen Streets. This property adds a splash of color to the neighborhood through its stunning landscaping. The work of the West Bloomington Revitalization Project shines proudly with all this beautiful landscaping in the front of the building. So if I can call up a representative from the West Bloomington Revitalization Project. Here you go. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
And her name would be?
Vice President G. Urban, not council.
Okay. And the next slide, okay, we have 1501 Grove Street. So this place, I could only describe it as a wildflower wonderland. I took this angle again, most of these properties had various angles, everything was stunning, but I just loved all the wildflowers that you see here, just a gorgeous property. It's situated on Grove and Moore Street. This breathtaking array of flowers and the meticulously maintained landscape made this property an undeniable winner. So if I can have the owners of the 1501 Grove Street. Congratulations, gorgeous, gorgeous property.
And I know them too. Congratulations, Phil.
Okay, and then moving on, we have 1401 Ridgeport. This property is nestled on the corner of Ridgeport and Clearwater. It adds a delightful burst of color to its surroundings. A lot of the neighborhood properties have feature green, beautiful green lawns and green trees, whereas 1401 Ridgeport enhances the area with all the pops of the flowers all around the house. And again, this is just one angle, but it just really stands out in this neighborhood. So if I can have the owners of 1401 Ridgeport, so I can present. Congratulations. And was that 5 houses? Okay, wow, that went by quick. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun.
It does.
Well, thank you. I want to thank all of you very much, not only the folks from the beautification committee who went out and judged all those properties,
Yeah.
but also the residents who take so much pride in their properties. And if I come to my house one day and I find all of you, I know you're scheduling an intervention. But thank you all very much. Really appreciate it. And also thank you, Dave, for working with the committee to make their job even easier. And I think Dave and the Parks Department are, really live out what we are talking about today, because the city of Bloomington looks fantastic. I know I'm sort of paid to say that. But I really think it does, because I have opportunities to travel throughout many communities because of soccer and everything. And I can see the difference between the communities, and Bloomington definitely stands out. So thank you all very much. Okay, I think now we're going to move on to public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment?
We have one person registered for in-person public comment, but we did not receive any emailed public comment.
Okay. Public comment is an opportunity for speakers to provide their views and feedback to the city council. It is also an opportunity for the city council to listen and hear diverse points of view. To maximize the impact of public comment and show respect for the expression of all views, speakers should maintain civility and focus on city issues. Speakers must identify themselves for the record, but are not required to give their address. Each speaker is given the floor for 3 minutes, and the council does not respond or engage in debate. Any speaker that engages in threatening or disorderly behavior will be deemed out of order and their time ceased. They are out of order.
Our public commenter is Jackie Byer.
Okay.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Jackie Byer. 'Tis the season for the taxing bodies to be working on their levies and calculation of the tax rate. Property taxes paid by property owners are a function of 2 items: the tax rate set by the taxing body and the equalized assessed value, otherwise known as EAV. The EAV is something that property owners nor the taxing bodies have control over. However, the taxing bodies have the power to change the tax rate by adjusting their levies. A single dollar more paid by a property owner is a tax increase. So please do not think that keeping the tax rate the same is not a tax increase, because it is. Last year, as you recall, the city decided to increase the amount paid by taxpayers by keeping the rate the same in order to capture all of the dollars from the EAV increases rather than lowering the tax rate to offset those EAV increases. This was done with all the taxing bodies in the area, which resulted in many property owners paying an increase of over 8% in property taxes this year compared to last year. This year, if you haven't heard, EAVs are going up about 13%. If the taxing bodies keep their tax rates the same again this year, as McLean County has already said that they want to do, property owners will be paying an additional 13% in property taxes. I just have one question. If the housing market collapses and the EAVs plummet, will you be keeping the tax rate the same or applying it to, or will you be increasing the tax rate to the lower EAVs in order to offset that loss? If the latter, then you should be lowering the tax rate now to offset some of the gain in the EAVs in order to provide some sort of relief to the property owners. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and no written comments, right? Okay, thank you. Okay, and next we are going to move on to the regular agenda because we do not have a consent agenda, any item. And I think the next thing is a presentation on the International Association of Firefighters, Local 49, 2023 Fire Ops 101 program as requested by the department. And I'm going to turn it over to Deputy City Manager Tyus for introductory remarks.
All righty. Thank you so much, Mayor. Mayor and council members, first of all, several of us, including all of you, were able to participate in the Fire Ops 101 program on Saturday, September 30th. First of all, I want to thank you for giving most of your Saturday to take an opportunity to come out and learn more about what the fire department does. Hopefully you felt like it was worth your while. And I hope you felt like you got an idea of the changing face of fire and firefighting. Gone are the days when I won't even say simply, when it's only going out and fighting fires. A lot of our responses you saw is emergency response and so many other things that they do each and every day. So hopefully you got a clear picture of that. I also want to publicly thank the department and the staff who put this together. It was extremely well run and most importantly, safe. I will tell you, there were some things that you all did that I'm glad I did not do. I will not do, but really no one, I don't think at least felt unsafe. I mean, it was very well controlled and safe, but there were some things that were just really, I couldn't imagine doing as part of the job. Really quickly, one of the things that the city manager has talked about recently is the next several months to year being a time when we're coming forward with things that have been talked about for a while now with the fire department that have been issues and things that we need to deal with, and really getting beyond the conversation to actual concrete results. You know, there's been talk for years, I believe, about response times and the need for new stations potentially, et cetera, et cetera. Wanted to let you know that we're in the midst of a study to actually ID solutions. And this won't be a study that sits on a shelf. It's literally going to go beyond the talk to actually identify potential locations if there's a need for stations, but also it looks at the data and talks about solutions that perhaps don't involve a building. You know, are there things we can do operationally to help to address some of the response times issues? Recruiting and staffing, it's a nationwide issue. It's a thing that fire departments are facing, you know, across the country. There are items under consideration that we're talking with IAFF Local 49 about now that we hope and believe can help us to address the issue of staffing. And so more to come on that, perhaps soon, but just really wanted you to know that we're taking a serious look at these issues And you should expect as a governing body to start to see some of these things really soon, to really bring resolutions to some of the issues, because as the manager's talked about, this is the time of the year to start doing that. And so with that, first of all, Tim, do you have any comments at all? So I think we have Eric Hall, who is the president of IAFF Local 49, who represents our local firefighters. And I think Corey Matheny and Chief West are here as well, who will perhaps have some comments as well. So with that, Eric, take it away.
Thank you for those kind words. Like Assistant City Manager Tyus said, my name is Eric Hall. I'm the president of Bloomington Firefighters Local 49. I just want to mention tonight, we got members of Local 49 sitting in the back room also, along with the city staff that's with us also. What we wanted to do with this presentation is take an opportunity to allow the citizens to see what each and every one of you had the opportunity to go through. We do appreciate all the time that you put in. I told you guys you would be sore probably the next day, and I think that you probably found that out. But if we could go through this slideshow real quick, there's a quick video for everyone to kind of watch and see what you did, and then we'll open it up to you guys. Next slide, please. So what is Fire Ops 101? Fire Ops 101 is an opportunity for local politicians, decision makers to go through and have an opportunity to see what our job is. Come put on our gear, do some firefighting. We did some EMS stuff, some hazmat items. It's really to get a better perspective of when we come and say why we need things or why we do a certain thing a certain way, you have a better understanding and appreciation of why we do it. What it took to get that one day event going was it took 5 months of planning. The members of Local 49 working with city staff and the department staff worked together over 5 months to bring all that into one day, to have the 20 participants. All the council members, Assistant Manager Tyus, the mayor was there. We had state senators there, state reps there, members of the media were there as well. We had over 70 plus volunteers. All of our members that were there that day were not being paid. They were volunteering their time because we are committed to the importance of this mission. Our spouses were there to assist also. Staff members were there. We even had staff from our secretary staff. Our maintenance coordinator was there, all taking time out of their day to come make sure that this event was a success. We reached out to local organizations. We had the BACC students, who's the career center at the high school, come help us running equipment around, doing what they could do. And we also reached out to the nursing program, who helped to assist and get everyone's vitals when they came in the morning. Next slide, please. So the items that we covered that day, we went through a little bit of a history of the department. We went through our stations and needs. Response time, staffing, and hands-on is when all of the members got to go out and actually have some fun. Next slide. So sometimes when we think about the Bloomington Fire Department, most people probably don't actually think about how old our department is. 1850, our first fire warden started in the city of Bloomington. The population then was approximately 2,000 people. June 19th, 1868, the Bloomington Fire Department hired its first full-time member, and we have been a full-time department ever since 1868. Next slide, please. To this day, you can travel around our community and you can see buildings that are still part of the fire department that have been repurposed. This is currently Epiphany Farms, was our old central station. One thing with this station here, back in 1956, is when we switched to our current staffing model of a three shift system where we work 24 hours on and we have 48 hours off. Before then, it wasn't uncommon to be on a week at a time, work one day, be off a day. We moved into our a more consistent schedule at that time. Next slide. So our department has a lot of history with it. As you can see, we change with the history. We change with our community, and we make sure that we are there providing the service our citizens expect. Next slide. Most people, when they call 911, they think about fire and EMS, but we do other things as well. Next slide. We went over some of the other items that we do throughout our community. We protect our airport, fire investigation. We have a drone team now. Our hazmat, we do ice water rescue, public education. We go out into the schools, into the community to educate our community. Next slide. We discussed our fire stations. Some of our fire stations are over 50 years old, or approaching 50 years at this time. We're working with the city staff on some of the upgrades that need. Some of our stations were built for 2-3 people when they're originally built. We're starting to outgrow those stations, so expansions or relocations are some things that we've talked about. Next slide. We discussed how busy we are as a department now. So as you can see, since 1990, we ran about 4,000 calls. Now we're running over 13,000 calls. One thing to note on this is back in 2007, we went to our current staffing model of 29 people on duty a day. Back then, we ran around 8,500 calls. Today, we're running over 13,000 calls with that same staffing. With the 13,000 calls, it's important to note that those are just 911 calls. We had 26,000 runs, and a run is anytime a vehicle leaves the station, one call may generate one run. It may generate up to 5 or 6 units going on a call, and that would be 5 or 6 runs as well. So 26,000 times a vehicle left a station. Next slide. We also discussed an interesting fact that we found when we were putting this presentation together for you guys was that 81% of the time when someone calls 911, there is another 911 call going on in the city already. So that could mean, as I just stated, one vehicle could be out, could be 5 or 6 vehicles already out. This year, we've had times where there's been 8 or 9 calls going on at the same time within our community. So all of our vehicles are tied up in other calls. When that happens, they usually will put those calls into queues if we can't get the resources from our neighboring town. And just like we've increased over calls, our neighboring communities have responded in the same way in increasing call volume. Next slide. So that's when we started talking, we went over our staffing and kind of what we already have and what we could possibly potentially need for the future. Next slide. One of the things that always comes up, and it's a popular question, is why do fire trucks respond with ambulances? Typically, it's for our critical calls, as listed up there. During those calls, as we gave a critical call to the members of the council, you got to see all the stuff that had to be done. Airways, IVs, sometimes CPR has to be done. We need someone to drive the ambulance to the hospital. Patient movement is important. Getting that patient out of the building. Not everyone's on the first floor, could be on the second, third floor. A lot of times there aren't elevators, so just carrying that person down takes a lot of hands to get that done. Our goal in these critical calls is to be on scene 10 minutes or less and be on the road to the hospital. So a lot of those things that I just discussed that we do in the back of the ambulance on the way to the hospital, not sitting on scene. Next slide. When it comes to staffing and stations, we discussed the NFPA 17 standard. That's the standard that guides our deployment of our fire and EMS services to protect our citizens. And it is a guide, it is a standard, it's something to achieve to and strive to get to. Next slide. Just one of those slides here is showing how many potential people that you would need for a fire and all the different positions that we need to fill. It's not just pulling a hose line in to put the fire out, but someone's got to be in charge and someone needs to assist that person. We need people there for EMS, for our members and for the public. And this 16 that's on this slide is only for a single room fire in a 2,000 square foot house. Some of the standard requires up to 30 to 40 members on scene within the first 6 to 8 minutes. If you think of a high-rise fire or an apartment fire. So the ramping up based on the level of the call. Next slide. I know Chief West has discussed this many times with the council, the 6-minute and 20-second response time. We talked about that quite a bit during our presentation. 60 minutes from dispatch. We got 80 seconds to put our gear on and then 4 minutes of driving to the scene. Next slide. So we gave you a map. We gave a map of how far 4 minutes gets us from each one of our stations. And an F on the screen there is one of our current station locations. As you can see, we know there's the gap that we've talked about a long time in the Northeast. We also have a gap in the center of town that we're working to improve upon. And then one thing that we discussed was as we plan for the expansion of our community, thinking about our station locations and being able to provide safety services out to those new commitments within a timely manner. Next slide. So lastly, we put you in gear and allowed you to have some fun and get some hands-on. First scenario was the flashover simulator. What we do there is we put everyone in their gear and the air pack and put them on air, and then we sit them in the floor of a container. Then we shut the door and we set the room on fire. So we take some time to explain fire behavior and fire growth and how that works. But then as it grows, the whole room at a certain point, once it hits a certain temperature, will flash over and the fire actually blows back over everyone's head that's sitting down on the floor. It's relatively safe because the fire is actually set above us and we are sitting below where the fire is actually going to catch fire and blow over us. But everything caught fire at the same time. And I'm sure as you all will be able to attest, it's not a comfortable feeling to be sitting in when you're sitting there. When we tell you, hey, you'll be fine. But it is usually a fan favorite. You got to pull a hose line into a fire, through some obstacles, and then go put on a fire in another room. We set up a scenario where the council members got to interact with as if we were at a car accident, trying to cut someone out of a car that had been badly damaged. Our hazardous materials got to put on the part of our suit, our hazmat suit, and mitigate some hazards and plug some leaking containers. And then an EMS scenario where they got to work and do hands-on CPR for a little bit. Even got to use some of our equipment to establish an airway, establish an IO, and use our IO drill. Through all that, we kind of touched on just a little bit of what we do in today. And the next slide is a quick video that I would love for you guys to take a moment just to watch. Hopefully. Yeah, had to accept when you launch it, you have to accept it. Well, we'll get you the video. Next slide. If not, that was. No worries. At the end of the day, we just want to say thank you. You took your time out of your Saturday to spend time with us, to learn more about our job. The only way forward is through a continued partnership and having a better understanding of knowing what we do. And then when we come to talk to you, explaining different things, you understand, you have a better understanding and a basis of why we ask for certain things or why we need it, why we're striving toward a different direction, whether it's the local or staff. Now you have a better understanding. We want to provide the service that our citizens have come to expect for years into the future. Again, thank you.
All right, well, I don't have a PowerPoint to show or anything like that, but first of all, I'm just going to reiterate kind of what Eric said. Want to first say thank you to all the elected officials, city staff, members of the media, the numerous volunteers, and our family members that gave up time out of their busy schedule, not only to attend this event, but make it successful. I think with all of you being there, it does send a powerful message of your support to the firefighters and kind of solidifies their value in the community that we see every day. Secondly, congratulations to Eric Hall and all of your team, your staff that are here for putting together a well put together event. I think each of you got to have a little glimpse of firsthand experience of what it takes, not only the physical and mental skills necessary to do the job, but also the technical expertise and the teamwork that's needed to be a successful firefighter. Had a common theme that they had, staffing and stations. We've highlighted some issues and some challenges that are in front of the fire department right now. It's important that we acknowledge those. And as we look to the future, like you said, it's a teamwork by everybody in this room to figure out that path forward and make it successful. Finally, on behalf of Chief West, we got Deputy Chief Reed back there. Deputy Chief Hartwood could not be here, but I just want to say that we're extremely proud of these guys. The work they do every day, hands down, we got some of the best people in the business right here in our community. They continuously go above and beyond, meet the needs of our community. It's important to recognize the excellence that they do for our citizens every day.
Thanks, Corey. Mayor, council members, city manager Gleason, again, I can't emphasize exactly what Corey said about our group. And I was so pleased to see all of you out there, and I know I've talked to a few of you since then, and it was a great experience for all of you. I heard some of you were a little sore. I understood that. But it was great to see all of you out there and everybody that would participated. I mean, these guys did a great job. Them being able to show you what they do on a daily basis and how they keep our community safe. And again, appreciate everybody coming out, and hope to see you out there the next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Video
Oh,
will work.
all right.
If we have time, if we can play the video.
Yeah, yeah.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want, and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up. It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time, some clarity to find a true identity. It's not No, I'm never turning back. I won't stop. I'm a fight until there's nothing left. It's so you're gonna be hurting bad, cause I've been to hell and back. You don't wanna make me mad. I stay strong. You will never see me crack. And if you get in my way, you're gonna feel the wrath. Gotta stay up to my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math. When I hate, I attack. It's not a model.
So.
I think the video points out a little bit better than what we could say, what you guys did. It wasn't an easy day, like we said. Thank you again so much.
Okay. Thank you. That video is probably going to end up on TikTok or something. Enjoy the soundtrack. Are there any questions? No? Okay, well, thank you all very much. Thank you for all the work that you do. It was this was my second time attending. I think the last time I attended must have been in maybe 2017 or 18, right? Okay. 17, okay, there you go. My memory's still good. So I definitely enjoyed it, although sometimes it was challenging. But I think everyone had a chance to really understand what happens and how difficult the job is of being a firefighter, and certainly to rush, to danger when most people's instinct is to go away from it. That's something that we don't take for granted, and we definitely appreciate, and we look forward to working together to continue to make the improvements that Deputy City Manager Tyus talked about. So thank you all very much. And next, we're going to go on to item B, and a presentation of the 2023 leaf collection process as requested by the Public Works Department and the Administration Department. And I'm going to turn it over to Deputy City Manager Jurgens for introductory remarks before his staff presentation.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Tonight, Public Works Director Ricky is going to talk about our some of the challenges that we face with our leaf collection process and what our action plan is going to look like for this upcoming collection season. Before I turn it over to him, I just want to maybe pause and put in perspective. It was just August 28th that this council approved some reorganization. And Director Ricky's only been in this position for about a month. It was about a month ago. Under the city manager's direction, we have really hit the ground running. We are looking at making a lot of putting a lot of best practices into place and making some changes. And Director Ricky's done a great job of doing that and hitting the ground running. Also want to just take an opportunity to say to the employees of the Public Works Department, and I've gotten to know a lot of them a lot better as I've taken this position, and they do a tremendous job and are truly the backbone of this community out there with the work that they are doing as well. And just want to say how proud I am of them as well and how much pride they take in their work. And with that, I want to turn it over to Director Ricky.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Jeff. Well, good evening, members of the council, honorable mayor, city manager, deputy city managers. I'm excited to come talk to you guys about our 2023 seasonal leaf collection for this year. However, I do have a couple of housekeeping notes I want to take care of prior to launching into that. One, anyone here who has ever had the opportunity to meet with Director Veal from the Parks and Rec Department or to see one of his presentations knows that he's a big believer in the 3-ring binder. And as I was cleaning things up, I did come across the fact that unfortunately I somehow still have one of your 3-ring binders, Director Veal. I'll talk to Deputy City Manager Tyus about that later on and make sure that gets back to the right hands. Absolutely. The other thing I do want to touch on a little bit before we get into the leaf collection is the fact of, to Jeff's point, how excited I am to be a part of this Public Works Division. This department is amazing. I don't believe that we have been able to put a spotlight on all the different successes that this department has achieved. Quite frankly, without this department and the services it provides our residents, we're going to see a bunch of residents who are unhappy and moving out. These guys do this kind of jobs that are hard for other people to do and may not always be glamorous, but are absolutely essential. Just recently, we finished our latest free bulk pickup. This year, we did complete the bulk pickup on time. We did not go over. I believe that is because we had a flawless plan that was put in place by our operations manager, Colleen Winterland, our superintendent of solid waste, Shannon Priet, and our assistant superintendent, Sean Moore. What you guys need to know is that when we go down there every day, it's inspiring to see a lot of the different staff that we have working in that area. I've been in one field for a long time, and now when I go down and have the opportunity to see LC, or I see PD or Pop-Tart, Steel, Honor, AJ, and of course Lurch, it just makes my day bright, and I look forward to what that day is going to look like and what the outcome is going to be. The other thing I wanted to mention real quick while I had the opportunity was the fact that we have a couple of gentlemen who work as our liaisons for our union down there, Jeremy and Adam, and boy, do they do a spectacular job. They have a very difficult task in front of them as they have to sit with us and sometimes make sure they're representing the needs of their brothers to their fullest extent possible. And while we sometimes have to have difficult conversations, they are absolute professionals, and I appreciate that in them. So a big kudos to them. I think it's important to remember as we talk about this 2023 seasonal leaf pickup, that the staff who are doing this work are also the same staff who are taking care of your solid waste, your streets, and your sewer needs. So not only are we going out to address this leaf pickup, but they're also taking care of all the potholes. These are the same staff that take care of the plowing of the snow for the city. So they're wearing a lot of different hats. And before I launch into it, I am going to ask just real, I'm going to pay for this tomorrow, I'm sure. I'm going to ask that Ms. Colleen Winterland would stand, please, to be recognized. Just your operations manager, Colleen Winterland. I will be honest with you, before I took this position, I would put my schedule against anybody's, any place, anytime, anywhere. And for the last 3 weeks, it has been a difficult task to keep up with Colleen. She's amazing. The amount of things she does behind the scenes to keep this city running, to keep this department functioning at the highest level, I could never do justice to putting a spotlight on. So just be aware that you are always better with Colleen than without Colleen. All right. So let's talk a little bit in the next slide, please. So some of the historical leaf collection challenges that we face. Struggles we face during seasonal leaf collection mainly is the fact that we don't have a crystal ball. So it's near impossible for us to know when the optimum time to be able to pick up leaves is. So we set forward ourselves a 6-week time frame that we focus mainly on the seasonal needs of leaf collection. I think it's dire and important that everyone here understand that while we focus on leaves for 6 weeks, we take care of leaves year round. Okay, we're always picking leaves up. That service doesn't stop. We sometimes have to slightly suspend it when we have other needs that take priority, such as snow removal, snow plowing, but we're picking leaves up all year round. We simply are focusing on leaves during the seasonal leaf pickup in 2023 for those 6 weeks. The other thing is we have a hard time sometimes finding enough staff, seasonal staff, as well as our full-time staff, to operate all the equipment we have for the leaf collection. We have some amazing machines. I'll talk about those in a little bit. But quite frankly, we have to have enough people in place to run those machines in an efficient manner while also continuing our other services that we provide for the city and we collect these leaves. And the other thing that is out of our hands is the fact that a big portion of a successful seasonal leaf collection is weather. And unfortunately, during this time of year, I don't have to tell anyone, inclement weather is a problem. And we do experience it, especially in this geographic region of the state. So those are some of the things we're going up against historically. The other thing I would say is, please understand is that while we may start off strong with our staff and we look like we're fully staffed, we sometimes do lose staff. This work is not easy work. This work is difficult, manual labor work. We literally sometimes have people that think they can hack it and halfway through a day walk off because it's just simply too difficult for them. So I want you to keep that in mind. Next slide, please. Our new action plan. I'm excited about this. I think we have some things that we're getting ready to unveil that are really going to help us in our leaf collection. Again, I have to give all kudos to Colleen. I believe Colleen has been sitting on some ideas for years when she's just been looking for the opportunity to institute and unleash for the city. And this is our first foray into that opportunity, and I'm excited about it. A couple of things I want to make sure we make a point of is through this new action plan, we're trying to make sure that we put education at the forefront and we educate residents on what our seasonal leaf pickup looks like, things they can do to make sure that they have a successful leaf collection pickup. There's opportunities in which they can separate brush from leaves, which is essential in our ability to be efficient in the way that we collect these leaves and we dispose of them. Also, later on, I'll be speaking a little bit about our Citizen Convenience Center and the resource it is to citizens and how we're going to utilize it this year in regards to the leaf removal process. Next slide, please. So, number one here, you're going to see is a change in the way that we are going to attack leaves. And I do use that word purposely, attack. We are going to execute. We're looking to execute plans. I have a bunch of staff who are aggressive and want to get the job done. So in the past, what we've done is usually we would take our teams that were in charge of picking up these different leave areas in one part of the town, and they would work their way across east to west, west to east, north to south, south to north. This year, what we're going to do is we're going to be using a multifaceted starting point. So I want you to think of fingers on a hand, okay? And we're going to cast a wide net to start that season. Unfortunately, because of where some of these different starting points have been in the past, certain residents did not get the full benefits of leaf pickup because of some of the things we talked about earlier, inclement weather, when the leaves dropped. Now, what this gives us the ability to do is when leaves start to drop and it's at optimum, we'll bring those fingers together to create a fist and we'll be able to collect those leaves much more efficiently. And we'll make sure that we execute the plan that we're putting in place. It gives us our greatest opportunity for success in removing as many leaves as we possibly can during this focused 6-week leaf pickup. Also, we're going to suspend our bulk pickup. I believe this gives us the opportunity to make sure that we concentrate on these leaves. You saw what happened when we were trying to put our concentration towards bulk pickup. We were very successful. We're simply looking to replicate the same process. If it's not broke, I'm not going to fix it. Okay, and I believe this works for us. We're going to have more crews this year. We are purposely hiring more people to put in place to run the equipment that we have to better fulfill the citizens' needs. And then the other thing is part of the education. We are going to be doing a lot of opportunities with the media and putting out information for educational purposes on what the citizen needs to do to have a successful leaf pickup. I'm pretty sure I'm going to probably embarrass myself on several different occasions with some different vignettes that we're going to put out there so it'll help people understand what some of the things we're looking for them to do is. That is at the behest of City Manager Tim Gleason, and I do not say no to him ever. Next slide, please. Seasonal leaf collection pickup progress. This is one thing I want to touch on. And I would be doing a disservice if I stood up here and pretended like it's just our department that's playing a part in this. We have several different departments that have been absolutely essential in our ability to attack this thing in the way we see is going to be most successful. Parks has been there for us. We reached out to them about maybe needing some additional people at some point in time. Of course, Catherine Murphy and what her ability to do with the marketing has been unbelievable. She's going to be working with me on some of those embarrassing vignettes later on, so I'm sure she'll enjoy that thoroughly. And also our IT department. So what we're going to be looking at this year for pickup progress is we want to not only educate, but we want to be transparent. And we want the citizens to be able to see exactly what's going on in the seasonal leaf pickup process. So in working with IT, we have some professionals in that department who are truly gifted with the GIS. And that's a geographic informational systems. So what we'll do is we're going to be putting together a map that at the end of each day of leaf pickup, a citizen will be able to go on our website under the leaves tab, and they will see where that day's leaf pickup ended. And they'll know exactly where the crew stopped from those those fingers of different crews that we talked about being out there. And they'll know where they'll be picking up the next day that they're allowed to be back out in the streets. Remember, we do not pick up during public holidays. And we also, if we have severe weather, we cannot pick up at that point in time either. So as long as there's no unforeseen circumstances, we'll always be showing our progression. That's one thing we want to put to the forefront is that people can see that we're being aggressive and progressing in our leaf pickup. Next slide, please. We talked about the time frame a little bit. This is another opportunity for you to see that actually starts on October 30th and runs through December 15th. However, what I do want to say is this, it's never too early to start raking your leaves and getting them ready. If you have leaves in the ground now, please feel free to go out and rake them. That'd be great for us. We appreciate that. Although we use a 6-week time frame to concentrate on collecting these leaves, please remember that the Citizens Convenience Center is a location where solid waste program customers can drop off their materials instead of waiting for curbside pickup. The service is provided at no additional charge for all acceptable materials except for sod, dirt, concrete, rock, and shingles. The facility is located at 402 Southeast Street on the corner of East and Jackson. That's south of the Bloomington Public Library. Currently, the hours for the CCC are Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 6:45 p.m., Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 a.m. to 2:45 p.m., Saturday, pre-lunch. I love that term. I think we should always have a pre-lunch and a post-lunch, you know what I'm saying, every day to celebrate that. But pre-lunch from 7 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. and a Saturday post-lunch from 11:30 to 2:45 p.m. Next slide, please. All right, keys to success. These are some of the things that we want residents to understand as you help us help them. During leaf collection, please place the leaves behind the curb as soon as possible, as crews may start the next collection period earlier than anticipated. This is what we were talking about. It's never too early to start raking and keep raking. Leaves must be placed behind the curb, not in the street. There's several reasons for this, and we'll go into a little bit later. In piles, hopefully no higher than 3 feet if possible. Leaves may not be placed, I repeat, may not be placed in containers or biodegradable bags during seasonal leaf collection. This will inhibit us and slow us down. And we're, again, all about being efficient and progressive. Number 3 I want to talk about is the fact that brush, such as trees, shrubs, bushes, garden trimmings, flowers, plants, fruit and vegetable trimmings, and pumpkins must be separated in piles and separated from the leaves. Due to some of the equipment we use, if these things are sucked up into them, using the impeller that's inside can cause great damage to the equipment we use. It's expensive equipment, and it also can be a safety hazard to our staff that are out there working with the equipment. And just to be clear, the number one thing through all this and any other obstacle we take on is I need every one of my people to come back safe. That's all I care about, quite frankly. After that, we'll take a look at efficiency, but I need them to come back safe and go home the way they came to me. And then lastly, leaves that are placed in the street can create a hazard for children. This is one thing we want to be aware of, right? Children do like to play in leaves. And if they're in the street, there could be an issue in regards to their safety. The other big thing, if you put these leaves in the street, we are going to have an issue with sanitary sewer and stormwater infrastructure, including sewer backups. And I will be honest, any resident who puts their leaves in the street during pickup is responsible if those leaves were the cause of issue. Oh. You jumped ahead on me. There you go. That's where I want to be at. Thank you. So again, we want to make sure that we separate these leaves from brush and any other trimmings. One thing we'll be doing this year is, in the past, they had used door hangers in case someone that had unacceptable materials were placed out on the curb or in the wrong position. You can see that beautiful flag, that pink flag right there. I have a lot of those flags coming to me so that our staff can utilize those. And if we have any unseparated pieces of material that need to be, we will be placing one of these flags in that proximity so that the resident can see that and know that they need to separate that material. So the next time that we come through, we will pick it up for them, okay, when it's appropriately separated. And just so you know, that flag is kind of hard to read. I wish I could read it from here, but I do have a cheat sheet. It reads, unserviceable brush, garden trimmings, and bulk waste must be separated from leaves. Please separate for next pickup. Questions, call Public Works at our phone number, which is 309-434-2225. And we would be more than happy to speak with them and continue the education process and help them through their way. Again, it's important to understand that if they do receive one of these, they still have the citizens' convenience opportunities in front of them, and they can bring their own brush and their own clippings and their own leaves anytime to that center and drop off themselves. Also, the fact that we now have to contend with Ring doorbells. A lot of staff don't feel comfortable. I would not feel comfortable going up and putting a door hanger on a door where a Ring doorbell was being utilized. This allows us to stay back and not have to come off our route, to place the flag, communicate with the resident, and continue on our way while we pick up the rest of the different services that were put out appropriately. Next slide, please. All right, now we're here. Perfect. So key success, rake leaves to the curb. We talked about this. This is a big issue with our staff right here. This is a safety issue. We talked about with the children and what could happen if the leaves were in the streets, but we need to talk about manholes, water valves, and inlets and keeping them clear of leaves. This could affect our services offered to our citizens as well. So when raking leaves, we need to make sure that the residents do not cover manholes or water valves because they need to be visible at all times. Covering manholes and water valves with leaves or other debris creates a safety hazard for city crews. Again, we talked about the number one thing is I want to make sure everyone goes home to their family safe. If you see that far right, my far right picture, you can see where we had one of our pieces of equipment that hit a manhole that was covered by leaves. Now, that looks scary, that looks terrible, but let me tell you something. Our our particular staff member was injured in that. When you hit one of those, that's set in asphalt and concrete. So it's like hitting a wall. And imagine if you don't know it's coming either, it's a pretty severe shock to the system. We are trying to avoid that at all costs. We want to make sure that we also do not cover any inlets with leaves. Clogged inlets pose a challenge, particularly in the fall as debris fall or get blown into them. Clogged inlets are addressed in 3 different ways. In case you're curious, I'll let you know. 1, the streets and sewers section of Public Works sends out crews to clean these storm inlets. 2, the solid waste section of Public Works sweeps over them as part of their street sweeping process. So this is always going on, trying to keep these clear of leaves and any debris. And thirdly, we do say that citizens can pitch in by refraining from raking into the street during the leaf season. Leaves should be left in a row along the parkway as we discussed, next to the street. Also, residents are able to clear out their own drains themselves, and the city and staff appreciate this effort, especially since given our staffing levels and other needs for work, keeping up on sewer inlet work is a massive task. The inlets, and I'm sure Colleen could attest to this, is an all-encompassing job. We have a lot of inlet work ahead of us. We plan to attack that just as aggressively as we are this seasonal work that we're looking for leaf pickup. And we need to make sure that each time we get a chance to stay on that, we stay on that task as well. Next slide, please. Oh my gosh, I'm running. I knew I was going to run out of time. I'm so sorry. I could talk forever. Actively rake leaves. This is what we talked about earlier. Start raking and keep raking. If you keep raking, we'll keep picking them up. We appreciate that for that time frame. It goes a long way for us. Understand this, that if we were able to reallocate one of our teams because one area has less leaves, we can put that team with another team and we can double our forces there. If your leaves are raked up in that particular area, we have a better chance of collecting them in one shot. Next slide, please. Here's a few alternatives for leaf disposal. As you can see, we have the Citizens Convenience Center. You're always more than welcome to bring those there. We talked about where that's located at. Mulching, I want to say this real quick since I'm pressed for time. A lot of people labor under the misconception that you must have a mulching mower in order to mulch your leaves. That's entirely not true. A regular lawnmower will do it. You may have to mulch a few more times, but it will get the job done. The funny part is if you'll do that, you won't have to buy the nutrients for your yard in the spring. And a lot of those nutrients are created by the leaves that are collected in the fall, and big companies keep them and repackage them and sell them back to you. So do it for yourself and save some money. And lastly, leaves are great for composting. If anyone here is actively composting at their house, you couldn't ask for any better organic material than leaves. Next slide, please. I'll leave this up just for a moment so you can see where all information can be found. Again, thank you to Catherine Murphy. Next slide, please. This is simply talking about the fact that we want you to keep your eye open for some of those vignettes we talked about and some of those different areas we have for opportunities to communicate and educate the public. One other big thing I want to talk about is as we move through this process, we will be working with our staff on an analysis of what's working and what's not working in real time. And then when the entire seasonal leaf collection is concluded, we will then have a final sit down after action plan. And we'll address what we liked, what we didn't like, and what we may need to tweak for the upcoming years. Last slide, which I believe is questions. Absolutely it is. If anyone does, I'd be more than happy to answer any you may have.
Council, any questions?
Yep.
Councilor Motney, Ward.
I don't have a question because you answered them all.
Oh, thank
And I'm telling you, this was an awesome presentation.
Thank you.
You laid out a foundation for a continuous improvement system. And at the cornerstone of that is respect for people. And you are doing that with your staff and setting a vision for them to understand what they can achieve. And the energy in this room with you talking about this, your commitment, and you're building in the continuous improvement plan, do check, adjust throughout this process. You crushed it tonight. The only suggestion I have is to document this relative to the prior years. And there's a case study in this to be written. I'm so proud of you and thank you so much for this great presentation.
I truly appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilmember Ward.
Yeah, I would echo what was just said and thank you for the presentation. I do have a couple of questions though, if you're
Please.
willing. One is, when should we expect to see the schedule posted with the zones?
Correct. So we're currently actively working on that. Some of the different professionals that are in charge of our GIS are at a conference. My guess is that I don't want to give an exact date because I don't ever like to pigeonhole myself like that, but as we're actively working on it, I would think that we'll have something in the works probably by the end of this week, and which will be something that could be seen by at least council members or
Okay.
given to Tim or Deputy City Manager Jurgens.
And if I could just speak to that, Councilmember Ward. So as Director Ricky said, we'll have a website, and we did last year as well. We've updated our website that's just about leaves, and that map will be on there. And we're going to be redirecting residents to get information there to go check those kinds of things. And we'll have that up hopefully very quickly.
And I assume that'll also have some guidance about the idea of more than one pickup. I mean, in the past, I've been lucky to get a pickup. And so this idea of more than one pickup, what?
Yes,
Really? Tell me more.
Absolutely. Right. I've got plenty to say about it. so I
Yeah.
have to tell you. Yeah, there'll be different portions under that leaf module on our website that talks about the seasonal leaf pickup. And we'll talk about some of our achievables and discuss what that looks like. So I'm guessing that would speak to answer your question, is the fact that we'll talk about, we're trying to make sure that our goal is that every area that we put in place on that map is seen at least twice.
That's great.
Yep.
And then a suggestion, and I was so glad to hear that you said that you can never say no to the city manager because in my last one-on-one meeting with the city manager, I made a suggestion, and that was, why couldn't we have an app for the leaf pickup schedule? When I order something online, I can watch my delivery. It's getting closer, it's getting closer, it's getting closer, it's delivered. Yay. We have it for Connect Transit. Why couldn't we have something along those lines? I know it's not for this year, obviously, but IT people, there's got to be an app for that.
So I think that's a very interesting concept, and I think there's probably some validity to it. I would request that I could make it through this leaf season, see how things work. I
Totally.
appreciate that. Absolutely. I heard you loud and clear, and see what we can do in the future. I think stuff like that is very exciting and probably would be appreciated.
One thing I can feel Operations Manager Colleen Winterland staring at me saying, we cannot 100% tell you when we're going to pick up your leaves because of the unpredictability of some of this. But we are going to try and help tell you when we're going to get there, and we can definitely tell you where we've been so you can get a better gauge on it. But that is definitely something we can look at in the future, and we can see how this season goes. And am I accurate? I got one of these. So been in enough meetings to know that that's one of the issues we're looking at.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions?
Not quite Amazon yet.
Okay, well, it looks like you crushed it, really. No more questions. Well, thank you very much, and we all are very excited, and we look forward to your leadership during this leaf pickup and beyond.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is city manager's discussion.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Committee of the Whole, we're going to talk about new hires. We have quite a few and some promotions. Chrissy Sims Williams hired for the ECD department. Ed Andrews was introduced a couple of weeks ago. He's the new water director. Casey Mish, utility worker with Public Works. Javier Montenegro with Public Works as well in Fleet. Next slide, please. And then we have promotions. Jackie Clifford transferred to Community Enhancement Inspector. Joni Gerard transferred as a grant specialist. Then Jeff, go ahead and stand up. Thank you, sir. Transferred, took Dave Lamb's vacancy in Parks. Nice promotion internally. Congrats, Jeff. And then we have Jeremy Mintz was transferred to Assistant Superintendent of Parks Maintenance. And I think that backfilled your position. Also, Dave Lamb, stand up. Transferred into Mose Ricky's vacated position with Moses promotion. Dave does an excellent job. Everybody's very familiar with them. Mose, stand up. And everybody got a full dose of Mose Ricky tonight. And there's going to be a whole lot more. And you do, to Alderwoman Montney's comments, very much appreciated. high energy. And that's exactly what that division, now a department, definitely needs. So thank you, Mose. Colleen, stand up. And very much a part of this team. And Mose said this, and it's true. And you see this a lot of times, and I'm going to single, you can't sit down yet. And I'm going to single her out, where you see this in positions of leadership where you just know you've got somebody, or you know that you have, you know, somebody that has all these great ideas and, you know, didn't realize, you know, how great of an asset she is. And she says that she has 1 year left before she retires. So I don't think we're going to let that happen if we have any say on it. And Colleen, thank you very much. Next slide. And also real quick, Colleen, thanks for being patient with us. Truly, you know, getting around to this and, you know, your voice being heard up through Mose, up through the deputy city manager, very much appreciated. All right, now to some of the things going on in the community. Try hockey for free. This is Parks and Recreation, Saturday the 4th at the Bloomington Ice Center. Next slide. Spooktacular, Miller Park Zoo, and this will be on October 21st and 22nd. I'm not sure what the times are, but you can see that on the Parks and Rec website, and we'll get that. We'll push that on social media as well. A couple of comments, the presentations tonight by the fire union and the fire department itself, and then the leaf pickup presented by Mose Ricky. It was excellent. And very much appreciate, you know, both departments' presentations. Very much appreciate the community, you know, sitting through this, hearing it, and there's a lot to be heard. And two departments that do an excellent job for this community. And then the other thing that I wanted to say was thank you more so to the community about their patience in this redesign, the council chambers. I think it turned out great. I know the county is very much appreciative. They were a partner in this and very proud of what this turned into. And again, thanks for the patience. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Okay. Thank you. And I don't think we have anything else, no executive session. So I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Hendricks, second.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Becker. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we